The expectations for the Detroit Lions offense coming into 2023 were sky high, but so far Jared Goff and Ben Johnson have answered the call of said expectations. In today's episode, we're going to be analyzing and examining how well that offense performed against the Seattle Seahawks and what we can expect going forward. Stay tuned, everybody. It's about to get fun.
It started with an owner who had a last name fans despised, hiring a coach that the experts thought was crazy,
But I got a plan, I swear to you.
who traded for a QB that was said to be washed up. They said the Detroit Lions would never amount to anything, that it would always be the same old Lions. But this team, our team, has a new identity, defined and expressed by the crazy head coach,
Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes, I will beat your ass.
led by the QB that nobody thought was good. Motor City Mania is in full swing and ready to start. So join the show and be prepared for kneecap biting, because Motor City Mania starts right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of MCM, Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and we're diving in right now. As always, folks, I just want to say thank you all for tuning in back to the channel. Thank you all for your view. Thank you all for your support. Thank you all for your patronage. Just want to continue to say God bless. Thank you for everything you all do for this channel, for everything you guys have done for me personally. And with that, let's get into today's content. So, here's the thing, folks. When we take a look at the Detroit Lions offense, the Detroit Lions offense is clearly the strength of the team. It has been already for about a year and a half. And if we realistically want to think about it, a lot of that strength, a lot of the reason why the team has been, a lot of the reason why the offense of the Detroit Lions has been as potent, has been as dominant as it has been over the last year and a half, really, is because of the combination of the duo of quarterback Jared Goff and offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. Almost got those backwards, but you understand my point here. It's been a well-oiled machine. It has performed very well, even when things have not always been in the most ideal circumstances, but yet the offense has continued to thrive. It has continued to perform very, very well. Now, here's the thing, folks. We have just gotten done with this game against the Seattle Seahawks about 4 days ago. And I can tell you this right now. Even with the mistakes that the Lions offense made on the field against the Seattle Seahawks, it was very plainly obvious, it was clearly obvious to anybody who watched that game that the Lions offense, despite the mistakes that they had in terms of turnovers, was still the much more better unit in terms of overall not only performance, but also most likely in terms of talent. And going forward, that's definitely going to be the case, even with the injuries that have been sustained. The point of the matter is that the difference between the Lions offense and the Lions defense is clearly, how should I say it? It's a very clear dichotomy, if you will, in terms of the difference between the one and the other. The Lions offense is very well established. It's already got 2 years of the same scheme under its belt. All these players know exactly what their responsibilities are, and I can just literally go down a checklist of just A, B, C, D, all the way down to Z. The problem with the Lions defense, as I've highlighted in already at least 2 or 3 episodes, is that while they've been in the scheme now for at least 3 years, there's a lot of kinks and a lot of problems that are still working themselves out, and it's causing a lot of issues. But in today's episode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to once again give Lions fans a sense of reassurance that both Ben Johnson and Jared Goff have got this offense in good hands, and we should look forward to seeing what this offense can continue to do throughout the course of the year. So, what I'm going to do is we're going to look at some film study from what happened against the Seattle Seahawks, because obviously that's the most recent game. I want to see it. I want to see how our offense worked in terms of certain areas over the course of the game. So, without a further ado, we're going to start taking a look at some certain plays here, and these are throughout the entirety of the game. So let's take a look at this first play here. What you're going to see very clearly is that Jared Goff is in the pistol. We have a 2 wide receiver set, 2 tight end set with 1 running back directly behind Jared Goff. Now, as you're going to see here as the play starts, I'm going to put it up on the screen in full speed here. Brock Wright is going to be brought in motion from left to right. Goff is going to snap the ball. It's a straight drop back right here. Well, Seattle brings 4 rushers. Seattle is playing a zone defense here. Now, what I want you to note here is that I want you guys to notice how Josh Reynolds makes a move inside. This is the first touchdown throw that Jared Goff had and the first points of the game for the Lions. Notice how Jared Goff notices where Josh Reynolds is on the field, and notice how Josh Reynolds, when he makes this inside move here, he can already see exactly where he's going. And what I want to do here is I want to highlight for you all this still frame that shows exactly what I'm referring to here. Notice exactly where Jared Goff and Josh Reynolds are looking here. Take a look at this picture. What you're clearly going to see in this huge box is this huge zone that pretty much is going to take up almost about 15 to 20 yards. Jared Goff and Josh Reynolds are already on the same page in the thought process of, okay, this is where the throw has to go. There's a huge zone here. All we have to do is just fit this ball into this zone, and we need to get ourselves a touchdown, which is exactly what Goff does when he throws this ball to Josh Reynolds. And it's an absolute bullet. It's right on the money. All Josh Reynolds has to do is hold on for dear life, because we already know who's coming in to try and knock the ball out. It's former Detroit Lion Quandre Diggs. But Josh Reynolds holds on to the pass. It's a touchdown. Great throw, great catch, great chemistry once again being demonstrated by the teammates of Josh Reynolds and Jared Goff, who have been teammates both here at Detroit and also back at their time in LA. So, again, what you're seeing there is that great chemistry, that great timing, that great anticipation that Goff and Josh Reynolds have together. So, that's the first play I wanted to show y'all. Now, the second play, the reason I'm showing this play is because not necessarily about who's running the play. I'm bringing it up because of what we most likely should be looking for going into this game against the Atlanta Falcons. And we'll get to that a little bit further on down the line once we start talking about the Atlanta Falcons more specifically here, probably in a day or two. But I wanted to show you this guy. I wanted to show you guys this play because this play I think is going to be something that we really need to look forward to as far as when we play the Falcons. So I'm going to set the play up for you. Again, we're talking about a gun play here. We have 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, 1 running back. Again, what you're going to see as I put the play up on the screen in full motion is Brock Wright motions from the right side of the formation to the left. Once he is directly past Goff in terms of past the center and Goff in terms of the formation, the ball is snapped. Now, notice what happens. The whole line shifts to the left-hand side. What happens is then the tight ends Sam Laporta and Brock Wright, since they're now on the left-hand side together, they help seal an edge, which then allows the outside blocker, which is the left tackle Penei Sewell in this case, to kind of get free and get around the outside and become the lead blocker for the running back, who on this play is David Montgomery. Now, why am I showing this play? Obviously, I'm not showing it because of David Montgomery, because the chances that David Montgomery is going to play are very, very remote. We have been told he is day-to-day, but I'd be willing to bet since the Lions elevated Zonovan Knight from the practice squad that most likely the Lions are probably going to sit David Montgomery so that way he can recover from his thigh bruise that was supposedly a really big deal. So, the reason why I'm bringing this play up is because one thing we already know about running back Jahmyr Gibbs is he is not a power back. But this is a play that is specifically designed for the types of talents that Jahmyr Gibbs has. This is a play that is an outside zone play. It's right off the outside. This is something that Gibbs can really use to his advantage because of his speed and elusiveness to be able to cut around that corner and pick up extra yardage. So I wouldn't at all be surprised if the Lions try to use something like this against the Falcons. A lot of outside zones, a lot of, power zones, sweeps, tosses, whatever term you'd like to use, so that way they can use the speed of Gibbs to its fullest potential. Now, obviously, I don't expect that Gibbs is going to get all the majority of the handoffs in this game upcoming against the Falcons, but I do expect that if they are going to use Gibbs, they're going to try and use him to the best possibility of his talents, and a play like this fits right into Gibbs' wheelhouse of what he is best utilized for, which is those strong outside and weak outside runs, which are going to use his speed and elusivity to the maximum. So that's why I wanted to show this play. Again, it's something that I think is very important understanding the Lions offense is that they work very well with what each player has to offer for the team. They're not going to try and force you to do something that's not necessarily something you're very good at, unlike a certain coordinator who shall not be named in this episode. But y'all get where I'm going with this. So that was the second play. Now we're going to take a look at this next play, which is going to be our third play here. So, allow me to adjust myself here. Now we're in the gun again. We have 2 wide receivers to the right, we have 1 tight end to the left, and we have 2 running backs. Now, notice what happens here. Goff is in the gun with Montgomery and Gibbs. Goff snaps the ball, and he's looking for his first read, which is the tight end Sam Laporta. And he's well covered in the zone. And you're going to see this as I put the play up on the screen in full motion. So you're seeing as it kind of rolls through. Okay, so now you have the first read that's not there because Sam Laporta is covered. Goff's second option in this play is Gibbs out of the backfield that's in the flat. But again, Sam Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs are both well covered in their coverage. So again, Jared Goff is not trying to force this ball unless he absolutely has no choice. But I want you all to pay attention here. I'm going to put this in slow motion. Notice how fast Jared Goff goes from the one side of the formation all the way over back to the other. He literally takes one quick look to the left, and then as soon as that happens, boom, he is right back over to the right, and this ball comes out almost instantaneously. Like he is anticipating this throw as instantaneously as I can put words to mouth. And that's exactly what happens. And notice the route that Amon-Ra St. Brown runs here. It's kind of like a reverse of a zig route here, because what he's doing is he's trying to show that he's going to go outside, but he breaks it hard back inside like an inside out dig. An inside-out zig, pardon me. Well, what happens is Amon-Ra St. Brown is wide open, and just, again, you're seeing right here the great command, the great chemistry, the great anticipation that Jared Goff has with this offense, because it's like, listen, okay, first read's not there, let's take a look. Okay, second read's not there. Okay, now I'm going to completely reverse to the other side of the field, and boom, I can already tell that this option is going to be wide open. I'm not even going to really take the chance to really look. I already can see that my guy's open. I'm just going to throw this pass, and it's going to be right on the money, and we're moving. That's exactly what you have when you have a quarterback like Jared Goff who knows where everybody on that offense is at all times. So that was another reason I wanted to show you this, because you want to know how a quarterback gets that comfortable? Not only through sheer repetition and trust with the wide receiver, but also having great communication with an offensive coordinator so that way they know that they're on the same page when they're calling plays. Because again, if your offensive coordinator is on the same page with your quarterback, more often than not, you're going to see plays like this where the quarterback instantaneously knows where to go as soon as his first or second option is not there. So again, that was why I wanted to show this play. Now, I know this for a fact as well. There are going to be people that are going to be like, oh, David, this is just going to be another Goff love fest. You're not going to talk about the negatives. You're not going to do this, that, and the other thing. No, you'd be wrong. I am going to talk about the negatives because here's the thing. No matter how good any particular unit is, whether it's an offense, whether it's a defense, there's going to be problems. There's going to be areas where you could use improvement. Here's what I'm going to say this right now. Even if you go back to the 1972 Dolphins and the only perfect team in NFL history from start to finish of the year, I guarantee you they had their weaknesses, they had their problems just like any other team. So to overlook those problems, to overlook those blemishes would be a little bit faulty here. Now, I know a lot of people want me to talk about this one play in particular. So you know what? That's exactly what I'm going to do. And you all know what I'm talking about. I'm going to be talking about the Jared Goff pick 6 here. So let's take a look at this play. Before we do, though, I'm going to kind of set up a little bit of a backdrop here because this is not the first time we saw this type of a play out of the Lions previously in the game. They actually had ran a very similar concept earlier in the game. I think it was in the first quarter. And what I'm talking about here is what you have is pretty much you have a gun formation. You have Gibbs in the backfield with Jared Goff. They run what is known as a Texas route, or also known as an angle route. Pretty much all it means is that the running back is going to come out of the backfield on a 45-degree angle. Once he kind of clears the line of scrimmage and starts getting up towards where the linebackers are, he's going to cut it in hard for another 45-degree angle, kind of like a slant route. And normally what the running back's job is to do is to kind of read what the defense is doing. Is it a zone coverage? Okay, you sit down. Is it man coverage? You keep running the route. In the first time that Gibbs did this, he ran the route correctly, and it resulted in a pickup of about 6 or 7 yards, and it got a first down. In this particular play where we're going to see the interception, you're going to see something a bit different here. So here's what we got. We got a 2 wide receivers set to the right. We have 1 tight end, 1 wide receiver to the left, and obviously Jahmyr Gibbs is in the backfield with Jared Goff. Now, notice what happens in this play. Josh Reynolds is coming in motion closer to where the center of the formation is, but he's not going to come all the way in. And what you can clearly also see as the play starts to run through is that the defense is in zone. And the reason you can tell that is because no man is in, how do I put this? No defender is instantaneously, fixing himself to a man. They're kind of sticking in an area. That's how you can tell zone versus man. Well, here's what you can see what's going on here. As Reynolds kind of gets closer and closer to that line of scrimmage, what Reynolds' route is going to be, as I start to pull the thing all the way through in full motion, his route is kind of like an underneath route, and what he's supposed to do is to kind of like clear out the middle of the field. Well, here's the thing. He doesn't clear it out fast enough, but what he does do is he does clear out a small zone, and I'm going to show it in a still frame right here that shows exactly where that zone is. Well, as you can clearly see, where Gibbs is making his break on the route to kind of come up the field, and where Josh Reynolds is, there's a small zone that's kind of like right in front of the line of scrimmage. So what does this tell me? This tells me that based upon where that linebacker is at in relation to Josh Reynolds and where the other linebacker or DB is in relation to Jahmyr Gibbs, the proper thing for Gibbs to have done was just sit down in the zone and just wait and see if Goff was going to throw him the ball. The problem is that Gibbs does not understand this. He doesn't see it. And so what he does is instead of sitting in the zone, he proceeds to continue to run straight through it. Goff does not see that, and so he thinks that he's going to sit. The ball is behind him, a.k.a. you get the interception, a.k.a. you get a pick six. Now, I know some people are going to say, oh, David, you're not looking at anything else. No, I'm not done yet with my analysis of the play, so hold your old horses here. Here's the other thing I'm going to say right now. Take a look at the front side block of Matt Nelson, the right tackle. Matt Nelson, I'm going to show this from the back side of the play. Matt Nelson does a absolutely horrendous job blocking on this play. Like, he doesn't give almost any sort of resistance to the edge rusher, and pretty much what happens is Goff is feeling the pressure from the other side, so he's trying to speed up the throw. Now, here's what I know about quarterbacks and getting pressured. No quarterback likes to get pressured. No quarterback likes to feel as if they're about to get sandwiched. So what typically happens more often than not when a quarterback gets pressured, they speed up their throws, which usually means they're inaccurate and usually means that they're not where they're supposed to be. So part of this is on Goff because he didn't put the ball in a better spot, just like Goff said in his post-game interview. But it also is based off of the fact that Matt Nelson did not do a very good job blocking on the front side, and it's also due to the fact that Jahmyr Gibbs didn't read the zone coverage effectively and just sat down. So again, it's kind of like all together working it's kind of like everybody's working together to screw up this play. Matt Nelson doesn't do a good job, pressures Goff, Goff's throw is off, and again, Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't read the route correctly, so instead of sitting, he proceeds to go through, which then allows that whole mixture of events to lead to the pick six. So again, it's not totally on one player. It's all three of them kind of screwing up all at the same time, and it led to that interception. So it's not all on Goff. It's not all on Gibbs. It's not all on Matt Nelson. But again, I wanted to bring that play up because, again, despite the fact that the Lions' offense is as good as it is, it does have the tendency to have a hiccup here now and then. And the reason why typically is because you have players in there that typically are not very good for what they do. Again, I have been a huge proponent of not letting Matt Nelson ever block again in the NFL, but for whatever reason, the Lions continue to use him. I'm hopeful that since we just signed Dan Skipper to the practice squad, maybe we use him rather than Matt Nelson, but we'll see come this Sunday. I'm hoping and praying. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Now, let's get to these last two plays really quickly. Now, we're getting kind of closer to towards the end of the game here. In this particular play, this is again kind of showing the creativity that Jared Goff and Ben Johnson have kind of developed with this offense. Excuse me, I'm going to take a drink here really quickly. Thank you all for allowing me to do that. Here's what we're going to see in this play. You have a two wide receiver set to the right. You have one tight end in the slot, and you also have another wide receiver as well. And sorry, those two wide receivers are to the left, not to the right. Anyway, what you're going to see as the play starts to roll through here is that Jared Goff brings Khalif Raymond on the left-hand side of the formation in motion. Well, as Khalif Raymond gets closer and closer to where the center is, the ball is snapped. Jared Goff gets the ball and does a quick little shovel pass towards Khalif Raymond. Well, as that happens, pretty much what this is a shovel pass sweep to where all Khalif Raymond has to do is just catch the ball and just run as if his tail's on fire, which is exactly what Khalif Raymond does. But notice what happens in the play as it starts to develop. Take a look at the rookie tight end, Sam Laporta. One of the things about Laporta that I absolutely love in comparison to where Hawkinson was as a rookie, getting ahead of myself, is that Laporta is immensely better as a blocker than Hawkinson ever was. Notice how excellent this block is that Laporta sets up, which allows Raymond to instantly cut straight up the middle and pick up a substantial gain of at least 7, 8, 9 yards, almost getting a first down. So again, you're seeing the creativity that Ben Johnson still has with this offense, but you're seeing the ability of the offense to also execute it at a very, very high efficient ability. Now, there's one other reason I wanted to show this play, because this is the play that Goff got hit at the very end of the play, and I call this a cheap shot. This was a cheap shot that pretty much the Seattle Seahawks were just trying to take out our quarterback. Because, I'm sorry, there's no way that the defender can say that Jared Goff still had the ball. It was plainly obvious that Jared Goff had already kind of gotten the ball out. And notice the guy that was coming back around the other side, he had clearly seen that Raymond had got the ball. He was trying to take Jared Goff out. They were trying to get him out of the game. I'm not saying a bounty was put on him like, the whole Bounty Gate nonsense from back in like 2008 or 2009. But the point of the matter is that this linebacker thought he was going to take a cheap shot on Jared Goff. He clearly recognized that he didn't have the ball. And everyone can say, well, he couldn't see him. No, he saw that the ball was gone. All Jared Goff was doing was pretty much just kind of like standing there. And again, no freaking linebacker or freaking edge rusher is just going to try and hit a quarterback in the back that's just standing still. That's all Jared Goff was doing. He was standing still in a pose. That was it. This guy comes in and just absolutely lamb-blasts him, and you're going to see that as I put the thing through. So when people want to say that this guy didn't see it, no. He clearly saw that the ball was gone. All that this guy wanted to do was take out our quarterback. And that, I'm sorry, that kind of just irks me. That is one of the worst kinds of sportsmanship you will ever see. And then the worst part about it was after that was all done and the refs were trying to break it up from a fight starting out, because I'm telling you this right now, you don't want to mess with lineman's little brother, because linemen are very protective of their quarterbacks. You want to know what this guy does? He goes off to the side and he starts getting back to his formation. He does a little crybaby notion, like, oh, you guys are just crybabies. I didn't do anything to your quarterback. It's like, no. You try to take out our quarterback. You try to screw our ability to get a chance to win. Now, granted, they won anyway. But that's the kind of sportsmanship that bugs the ever-living crap out of me. And I know it has nothing to do with the film analysis, but I was like, listen, I got to talk about that because that bugs me. That really irks me still to this day. And we're still 4 or 5 days from the game, and it still bugs me. But anyway, let's get into this last pick. Let's get into this last film study here as far as the play, and then we'll end this episode. So, this last one here, again, we're in a gun empty set. This is going to be the last touchdown of the game for the Lions before they get the field goal, and then we go to overtime. So, in this particular play, Goff has one tight end to the left. And then with that, he also has 2 wide receivers as well, which is Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond. And then if you also look to the right, he has running back Craig Reynolds and Marvin Jones. Well, as the play starts, Jared Goff's initial read is to go to the right side of the formation. And it looks like he's trying to get the ball initially to Craig Reynolds in the flats. But here's the problem. Craig Reynolds is well covered, and so is Marvin Jones. So what happens? Jared Goff goes from looking to the right side of the formation. He then comes back to the middle. And now what he's doing is he's trying to see, okay, is Khalif Raymond or Josh Reynolds open over the middle? So now what happens is now we've gone from read 1 to read 2 to read 3. Now what Jared Goff does is he goes back to the left. Now he's looking for freaking Josh Reynolds. But what he has to do is he has to slightly wait just like a half a second, because he has to wait for Josh Reynolds to break this route in to clear, so that way he can get the ball to Josh Reynolds. But again, much like I showed with the very first play, Josh Reynolds and Jared Goff are on the same page. Because again, take a look in this still shot. Notice how there is this zone in the back of the end zone. Jared Goff already recognizes it. He's just waiting for Josh Reynolds to make the break in, which Josh Reynolds recognizes as well, breaks in, and as soon as Jared Goff sees that Josh Reynolds has broke in onto the inside pattern, he lets the ball loose, instant touchdown, no defense, easy pickings. That's what, again, you see when you have the type of chemistry, the type of camaraderie, the type of command of an offense, and also the ability to anticipate what your quarterback and wide receiver are going to do. That's what happens when you have that kind of tandem. And again, the fact that Josh Reynolds is already playing at such a very high level to start the year, I'm absolutely happy with, because you know what? The one guy that I was thinking we might get more out of, Marvin Jones, has not met expectations. I'm hoping that at some point that'll change, but so far it has not shown up, but we shall see. Anyway, y'all, those are the pictures, not the pictures. Those are the films. Those are the, plays that I wanted to show, that kind of, again, show the creativity, that show the mastery, that show the command that this offense has of Ben Johnson's scheme, that Jared Goff has of the scheme himself, so on and so forth. So I just want to, again, let you guys all know the offense is in good hands. The offense should continue to hum, should continue to roll throughout the coming weeks and going throughout the rest of the year. We're just going to see how well it does as we get further and further on down the line. But so far, I feel good about it, and you guys should too as well. But with that having been said, I think I've done a pretty good job of explaining the whole thing in regards to what the Lions offense did against Seattle and what I think we should expect going forward. So with that having been said, I just want to say thank you all for watching yet another episode of MCM, Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode coming at the end of this one. I also encourage y'all, please, to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If by chance you subscribed in the past and you forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and you've not yet had a chance to do so, I highly encourage y'all, please, to do this. Make sure you hit that bell notification icon at the bottom of the page, so that way you never miss any more content that I'm pushing out. And I also encourage y'all, please, let's keep that subscriber count going up. And the best way to do that is to share this content with your Lions friends and family members, and share it with all Lions community people that you know as well. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook. Let's get the subscriber count up. Let's get the word out. Let's keep this channel growing, y'all. And with that being said, folks, again, I'm so thankful for everything you guys do as my fans. You guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you all for your view. Thank you all for your patronage. Thank you all for your support. God bless. And with that having been said, this is MCM signing off for now. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.